Welcome everyone. In the previous lectures, we successfully completed the topics related to animal husbandry, that is dairy farm management, then fisheries, aquaculture, poultry. All these topics come under animal husbandry that we covered from the chapter. Now the remaining part is in the chapter strategies for enhancement of food production, starts with plant breeding, like animal breeding, plant breeding topics also we should discuss. And this chapter from here onwards, in plant breeding, they are the sentences we need to understand and we need to digest the sentences, since many a times in NCERT or in NEET examination what they are asking are the statements of NCERT only, statement based questions. So we need to understand the NCERT statement as it is and we need to digest it, right? So I took down the content of the NCERT related to plant breeding and I thought of explaining before going into the types and varieties for disease resistant, pest resistant, right, biofortification and all. Now let us try to understand first of all in this lecture what is plant breeding, right? Traditional farming. What is traditional farming? Now since the time of human civilization, now agriculture started by the man first. So that farming, what they used to do using plough and all, planting the plantation and irrigating them, that's called traditional farming. Traditional farming will yield only limited biomass. So if we don't have any knowledge and if we are cultivating the crop in any particular soil, in any particular season, yeah, it will grow, but it cannot give you the maximum yield. So if we have to grow the plant, you should know, right, this plant grows in this season more. Spring variety, autumn variety will give more yield, and in red soil or black soil or in loam soil, in which type of soil, all this scientific analysis should be there. But traditional farming, so we just plant the seed and we get the yield. So it will be obviously less yield only, limited yield only. If you want to increase that yield, then instead of cultivating them in 1 acre, we'll cultivate in 10 acres. So when you do cultivate in 10 acres and when you better manage it, what do you mean by better management? Removing the weeds and all, providing some fertilizers and all. When we do better management practices and we increase the acreage, means 1 acre to 10 acres, then the yield will increase, right? The yield will increase, but again to a limited extent. The yield will increase but to a limited extent. It's not enormous yield we get, because again we are not checking the conditions here, which type of soil or in which season we have to grow and which variety we have to grow, right? So all these two statements are related to traditional farming only. But when we talk about plant breeding, in plant breeding it is manipulation of the genes, genetic manipulation we do, and we develop new varieties, improved varieties, so that we can enhance the yield to enormous extent. So plant breeding as a technology, when we introduced it, it has increased the yield, it seems, to many extent, to a larger extent. When we did traditional farming, when we increased the acreage, when we have done better farming practices, it has increased the yield only to a limited extent. But the moment when we introduced plant breeding techniques, it has increased the yield to very large extent. Understood, children? Green Revolution. Now in Green Revolution, which was initiated in the world by Borlaug, Norman Borlaug, in India by M.S. Swaminathan. Now what techniques did they use? These scientists use what techniques so that they could enhance the food production? Means plant breeding techniques only. So Green Revolution used plant breeding techniques only. Green Revolution also employed plant breeding techniques only, through which they were not only able to increase the yield, we were not only able to increase the yield, so we are able to produce to that extent that we are able to export it also to other countries also. So that is the significance of Green Revolution, so which they were able to implement it by introducing the plant breeding techniques. Plant breeding helped to develop several high yielding varieties. I told you plant breeding means purposeful manipulation of the genes to get desirable yield, to get many other characters like disease resistant, stress resistant, drought resistant, right, insect resistant characters. The genes are modified to such an extent that the plant becomes disease resistant, pest resistant, high yield, high quality, all these things, right? So plant breeding has helped to develop high yielding. Yeah, this is one character we want to introduce into the plant. plant, so we will get high yield. Disease resistance also is the other character a plant breeder looks into the plants. Whenever a farmer goes and buys the seeds, now what he will ask is, if I plant these seeds in 1 acre of land, how much yield I get? 3 tons or 5 tons or 10 tons he will ask, because ultimately what he wants is the yield only. So then when we are producing plant breeding techniques also, what are the points, main points we look into is high yield and disease resistance, right children? Now what are the cultivable plants, right? Rice is a staple food, wheat is a staple food, maize is the staple food. That's a main food, right? Morning, afternoon, evening. Our staple food contains either rice preparation or wheat preparation or maize preparation. Now plant breeding involves purposeful manipulation. Knowingly we will manipulate the genes. That's called purposeful manipulations, right? So plant breeding involves purposeful manipulation of the plant species in order to create variety. By doing purposeful genetic manipulation, we are creating the varieties which will give you high yield, which will give us disease resistance, right children? Plant breeding involves mutations, right? Plant breeding involves alterations of the genes so that we get new varieties which are having high yield, which are having disease resistance. Then here in NCERT, the author is trying to tell us what is conventional plant breeding. Then he will tell us what is classical plant breeding. First he talked about traditional farming, the ancient man when he started the agriculture. So whatever seed he dropped inside the soil, he is sowing and he is getting the plant. That is called traditional farming. After that, when civilization started and all, when we started introducing hybrid varieties, we started crossing and all, that comes under classical, it comes under conventional plant breeding. Man knows this technique. Conventional plant breeding has been practiced by the ancient man, right? Thousands of years ago only, from the time when human civilization started, man started using this conventional plant breeding technique. So which dates 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. They might ask question from this sentence. If the question comes like conventional plant breeding was practiced by man since, the answer is 9,000 to 11,000 years ago itself. From the time of human civilization, they practiced this. Okay, now I told you what is meant by conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding means taking two plants, one superior male plant, another superior male plant, and crossing both of them to get the hybrids. So we'll take the plants, we'll cross both of them, we'll get a hybrid plant. In the hybrid plant, both the desirable qualities will be there. That is called as conventional plant breeding. So but here, since there are cell walls and all which act as barriers, so there are certain constraints in conventional plant breeding. Now today, all the major food crops, rice, wheat, maize, sugarcane, all these are the major food crops. They are derived from the domesticated varieties only. Now we need to understand here what is wild variety and what is domesticated variety. Now you know, in Bendi, in lady's finger, there are so many varieties. Some varieties are wild varieties, some varieties are domesticated varieties. Out of these 5 varieties of Bendi, so only 1 or 2 are cultivable varieties, the remaining 3 are wild varieties. So why didn't the farmer choose these 3 varieties? Why farmer chose only these 2 varieties? Means these 2 varieties can be easily grown, they will give high yield and they show disease resistance also. Like that, if we take green leafy vegetable called amaranthus. Amaranthus has so many varieties. On roadside also we find amaranthus. As a weed, in agricultural farms also we find amaranthus. But that amaranthus which we buy as a green leafy vegetable, red colored bunch or the green colored amaranthus, that will be this long, it will be tasty, it will be juicy, fiber content will be less and it will nicely grow, right? So that is a domesticated variety. Understood children? Understood? So here they are telling, whatever the major agricultural food crops what we are planting nowadays are domesticated by the ancient man. So man has taken the wild varieties. In that wild varieties he evaluated and he fixed, okay, these are domesticated which we can cultivate. Okay, so many present day crops are the results of domestication only of the ancient man. Ancient man during the ancient times, he evaluated the wild and out of that he selected certain domesticated varieties and he told these are the cultivable varieties. All these points come under conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding, it is an old technique. It has been used from the time of civilization. It dates 9,000 to 11,000 years back. There we are going to select two superior parents. We are going to cross between those parents and we'll get the hybrid which is having characters of both the things. But the constraint here is, since the cell wall and all will be there, the natural barriers will be there. So between the related plants only you can do breeding. Not between two different families and two different genera, we can't do it. Okay. So, and they're talking about through conventional plant breeding only, man has domesticated some varieties, and whatever the cultivable crops we are using now are all the domesticated varieties selected by the man only. Now children, let us talk about classical plant breeding. Now we understood what is conventional plant breeding, what ancient man has implemented. Now let us talk about classical plant breeding. Classical plant breeding is controlled breeding which was done by Mendel, right, in the pea plant, no? So classical plant breeding involves crossing or hybridization of the pure lines followed by artificial selection. The difference from conventional plant breeding to classical plant breeding is, in classical plant breeding I used a word called, what is that? Controlled breeding. So where we take a female flower, we emasculate it. That's what Mendel has done. So we emasculate it and we close the female flower, and the selected pollen only we drop it, right? So that comes under classical plant breeding. It involves crossing. Crossing is also called hybridization between the pure lines. Mendel also has selected the pure lines only as the parents, and after doing cross hybridization, so when we see the progeny, when we see the hybrids, it's not mandatory that all the hybrids should get the desirable characters only. So there are some hybrids which have selected those characters from the parents which are not desirable, right? So followed by artificial selection, we will select the progeny which are having the desirable characters, desirable traits. What are the desirable traits in your point of view? High yield, high nutrition and disease resistance. So classical plant breeding involves crossing or hybridization, and then after that artificial evaluation, artificial selection of those progeny which are having desirable traits. What do you mean by desirable traits? Desirable traits means in terms of yield, in terms of nutrition, in terms of disease resistance, right? So we understood what is traditional farming, we also understood what is conventional plant breeding, we even understood what is classical plant breeding. Now the author says, with the development of genetics, we were able to locate the gene, and molecular biology, we were able to understand the significance of the gene, we were able to regulate the gene, we were able to identify the regulatory sequences, promoter, operator, inhibitor, structural genes and all those things comes under molecular biology. With the advancements in genetics, in molecular biology, tissue culture, we are going to cultivate the plant in a tissue culture medium in the lab. Whatever new combinations, new characters you want, you can introduce into this plant and then you can spread it. Tissue culture is also there in this chapter. We will discuss. It's called micropropagation. Okay. So with the advancements of new techniques like genetics, molecular biology and tissue culture, plant breeding has increased now. Plant breeding has increasingly carried out with the genetic tools. So this is a genetic tool, this is also genetic tool, this is also genetic tool. In tissue culture also you will try to introduce the genes. In molecular biology we will talk about regulation of the genes. And in genetics we will see where are genes, what are their roles, what are their functions. Children, all these points are there in NCERT, but still if you want to have a screenshot, yes you can. Right, now let us talk about what are the basic steps of plant breeding. So there are 5 basic steps of plant breeding that we are going to see. I think you understood the content which we wrote on the board. here the author is trying to explain what is traditional farming, what is conventional plant breeding, what is classical plant breeding, so from which time onwards it is dated, right, and what are the characters a plant breeder looks into. Now we'll just see what are the characters a plant breeder will look into, and then we'll go with the steps of the classical or the basic steps of plant breeding. Now if I ask you a question like, if you are a plant breeder, what are the characters you will prefer to introduce into the plant through plant breeding? Means first you will tell, I want to increase the yield, right? You want to increase the yield, and this plant should be of higher quality. If it is of cheaper quality, no one will buy. So your first and foremost point will be increasing the yield with good quality. Then I gave one more thing also you can introduce. Then you will tell, I'll try to introduce the genes which show tolerant to environmental stress. Then I told, yeah, you can add one more. Then you will tell, we will introduce the genes which make the plant resistant to pathogens like bacteria, viruses and fungi. And not only pathogens, we can even introduce the genes into the plant which shows resistance against pests also, right? So now if I ask you, if you are a plant breeder, so I asked you to list down the characters what you want to incorporate into crop plants. Means let us write down the characters which a plant breeder wants to incorporate into new varieties, right? If I ask you what are the points we want to incorporate, means the first would be increase in yield with good quality. The first point would be, it would be increase, right? Increase in yield, and that yield should be of improved quality with improved quality. Quality should be good and quantity also should be good. That is the first quality which everyone want to introduce into the plant through plant breeding. Next one, if they want to introduce, they can introduce tolerance to environmental stress. Means the plants which are produced through plant breeding will be tolerant to salinity, will be tolerant to extreme temperature, will be tolerant to dry drought conditions. So we can increase tolerance to environmental stress. We can increase tolerance in the plants towards environmental stress. What do you mean by environmental stress? Plants can survive under saline conditions. Plants can survive under extreme temperatures also. Plants can tolerate drought conditions also. So these are the points which we tell these are environmental tolerant conditions, right? Then if we have to introduce one more thing, then you will tell we want to introduce disease resistant genes, right? So means the plant breeding plants should be resistant to pathogens. So right, the third one will be resistance to pathogens. Now usually what are the agents which cause diseases? Either bacteria or fungi or viruses. Means the new varieties which are obtained by plant breeding should have resistance to bacteria, viruses and fungi. Pathogens include bacteria, fungi and viruses, children. Then in the same manner we can tell resistance against tolerance against insects also, right? So we can tell increased tolerance to insect pests. The new plants should gain resistance against insects, resistance against pests, resistance against pathogens, resistance against environmental stress. So and the yield also should be more, the quality also should be more. So these are the points what a plant breeder wants to incorporate into the new varieties of plants. And as I told you, there are 5 basic steps of plant breeding. What are they? The first step will be collection of variability. The first step will be collection of variability. For example, if you want to crack NEET examination, now what is your first step? So you will see like what books are available in the market related to the NEET. So we'll buy the NCERT textbook first, the exemplar question bank next, then we'll buy the NEET previous year question papers and some practice question books, right? Questionnaires also we buy, and then we read it from the NCERT, and then we look into those books to solve the MCQs. We look into the previous year NEET question papers to see from this concept which sort of questions came. So if you just have NCERT textbook in your hand, is it sufficient? Or along with the NCERT textbook you should have exemplar also, you should have previous year paper book also, you should have some question banks also where new questions are there, so where you can try yourself and you can see whether you are able to reach the correct answer or not correct, right? In the same manner, when we want to do plant breeding, the first and foremost step will be collection of variability. Genetic variability is a root of plant breeding. The more you collect the plants, the more will be introduced, right, to new genes and all. So because if you are selecting 10 plants, among these 10 plants you need to pick one as a male parent, other one as a female parent. So within these 10 plants and all, you look into the characters. But then if you go and collect some 100 varieties, mango, how many varieties of mangoes are there? So many varieties are there. Rice, so many varieties of rice are there. So if you are interested to do rice research or mango research, then what are the local varieties of rice, what are the wild varieties of rice, and what are the hybrid varieties in this particular state, what varieties are cultivable, means in this climatic conditions, to this soil, which varieties will grow, everything you need to collect, children. That is the first and important step, and it's a root of plant breeding also. What is it called? Collection of variability. The more we collect, the more we are introduced to the new genes. We need to collect them and we need to preserve, right? We need to collect the plant and we need to preserve. Wild varieties we need to preserve. The species we need to preserve, and the relatives also we need to preserve. Followed by, after preserving them, one by one we will take it out. The plant or seed we will take it out and we will read, we will evaluate and we will exploit the characters which are present in the nature, So then this technique is called as collection of variability. That is the first step. Take a screenshot, we'll just write it on the board. Steps of plant breeding. Right? So these are the points which we'll try to introduce into the new varieties. So how many points we wrote? I think we wrote 4 points. Now let us talk about the basic steps of plant breeding, the systematic way of plant breeding. The first step I told you is collection of variability. So genetic variability is the root of any breeding program. So genetic variability is the root, it's the main point, is a root for any plant breeding program. The more we collect, the more the variations we find. So in any crop, already nature has introduced some variations. We call them as pre-existing variations. Pre-existing genetic variations are available in any crop from the wild varieties itself, right? So in any rice or mango or wheat, in any crop variety, pre-existing genetic variability will be there, right, in wild relatives. How do you came to know that? When you collect all those wild relatives, then when you analyze it, then we'll come to know that yes, pre-existing genetic variability is already there in the wild varieties. So we need to collect them, we need to preserve the wild varieties, their species and their relatives. So collection preservation, right? So we need to collect them, we need to preserve them. What? Of wild varieties, preservation of wild varieties we need to preserve, the species we need to preserve, cultivable varieties also, and their relatives also we need to preserve. We need to collect them and we need to preserve them. So this is a prerequisite. This is important. Collection of variability is important. Then what will this entire collection of plants or seeds having all the diverse alleles is called as germplasm collection. So when you are going and collecting all the wild plants, their species, their relatives and the cultivable varieties, when you collect, either you can collect the plant or you can collect the seed, and then when we are sitting and checking all the alleles, this is called as germplasm collection. For example, NEET 2022, the students who are writing are supposed to write the NEET 2022 examination. So if we have collected the data, like 14 lakh people or 15 lakh people are there, their ages are so and so, from this state these many representatives, from this state these many representatives. So what is that called? That is called NEET data collection. In the same manner, here we call germplasm collection. What is germplasm collection? So the entire collection of the plants, right? The entire collection of, either you can collect a plant or we can collect a seed. So we can collect a plant or we can collect a seed having all the diverse alleles. If it is the same variety, we will not pick it. If there is any variation, then only we will pick it. So having all diverse alleles, having all diverse alleles, what is this called? This comes under germplasm collection. What is this step called? This step is called as germplasm collection. The more the germplasm, the more the variations we can study, the better the parents we can pick. So children, I think you understood what is the first step in plant breeding. It is collection of variability. Now second step, what is the second step? So suppose 10 or 20 or 50 plants you have collected in rice or in wheat. Now we need to evaluate them. We need to identify, we need to sit and study all the 50 varieties of plants. See what are the beneficial characters which are present in this plant, second plant, third plant, fifth plant. So out of that you need to pick the best 2 plants which will act as parents, right? So that is our second step, evaluation of the variability and then picking the parents, evaluation of the selected parents. So second step will be evaluation of selected parents. So after collecting everything, we need to evaluate these things and we need to pick 2 superior parents, right? So the germplasm should be evaluated. You have collected all the germplasms. So the germplasm should be evaluated so that we identify the parents with the desirable combinations. So the germplasms are evaluated. The germplasms are evaluated. What are you looking into those things? Germplasms are evaluated to pick the so as to identify the plants which are having desirable characters. So as to identify the plants, right, which are having desirable qualities. Now we have written some qualities like increase in yield, improve in quality, resistant to environmental stress, resistance to pathogens, resistant to pest and insect. So these are the qualities we want, right? So then we will evaluate the germplasm and we are in search of those plants which are having our desirable characters, right? Now then you have selected. The selected parents are multiplied. You have selected, you have only 1 male plant and 1 female plant. Before starting the experiment, we will multiply these plants so that you have some lot with you. So what we have to do, selected parents are multiplied and used in the process of hybridization. After you select these selected parents, no, the selected parents are to be multiplied. Because you brought just one parent and another parent, but we will multiply them so that we have some amount of plants with us. Selected parents are multiplied and they are used in the process of breeding, hybridization, and are used in the process of hybridization. So first we will evaluate all the germplasm in search of those characters, desirable characters in which plants are there. Finally we will select the parents, and these selected parents are multiplied, and then we will start the process of hybridization. So sometimes if you want to maintain the, because parents should be pure line, right, homozygosity should be there. So pure lines, if you want, they can be obtained. Pure lines are created whenever desired, right? Pure lines are created whenever desired. So whenever we want pure lines, you can obtain the pure lines also. How can you obtain the pure lines? Continuous self-pollination. So there are 5 basic steps in plant breeding. The first step is collection of variability. The second one is selection of parents. After selecting the parents, you know what to do. So we need to do crossing, hybridization between both of them. So the third one will be crossing, hybridization between the parents. That will be the third step. After doing crossing and hybridization, what will be your fourth step? Now we have to check the progeny which are having, the recombinant characters. What the desirable characters we want, those progeny should be selected, right? So we need to select and we need to test the recombinants. That will be the fourth step. And what's the last step? So in the last step we are going to evaluate and release it and commercialize it. Take a screenshot, we will continue. Yes, so we have seen the 2 basic steps of plant breeding. The first one is collection of variability and the second one is evaluation for selected parents, right? And what is the third step? Crossing or hybridization between the selected parents. Children, what is the first step? It is collection of variability. What is the second step? Second step is evaluation of selected parents, right? Now then, what is the third step? The third step will be crossing, hybridization, right? Crossing or cross hybridization among the selected parents. What's the third step? Cross hybridization among these selected parents. This is the third step. Cross hybridization among the selected parents. Now, what do you mean by cross hybridization? For example, if we have to take a male plant, this is a male plant. In the male plant, so what we need is the stamens, right? So we will be collecting the stamens from the male flower. And if it is a female flower, in the female flower, so what we need to do first is we need to remove the anthers, because self-pollination might happen if anthers are there. So we'll trim off the anthers. What is the step called? Emasculation. In the female flower, we want our desirable pollens to drop on the stigma. We want these pollen grains to come and land here. So that is why, what do we do? If the stamens are there, these stamens, you know, they are sliced off, they are removed off. Removal of anthers from the female flower, bisexual flower, is called emasculation. We will remove it. We will remove it. So removing this stamen is called emasculation, and then we even bag it, we even cover it, so that contamination will not happen. Undesirable pollens by anemophily, they don't come and fall. After that, when the stigma reaches the receptivity, then the desirable pollens are dropped on it. desirable pollens are dropped on it, again we will bag it, we will open it, we will dust the pollens on the stigma, again we bag it. So this is time consuming process, it is tedious process, but then we have to do it. This is called as cross hybridization. So this is one selected parent, this is one selected parent which is our male parent, and this is another selected parent, so which is the female parent. Now in the female parent we need to remove the anthers so that self pollination will not happen, and those pollens what we are providing, that only will go and fertilized. So this step is time consuming and tedious because it involves many steps inside: emasculation, bagging, collecting the pollen grains, opening the bag, dusting them, rebagging it, and allowing it to fertilize, fruit and seed formation, right? So then we, after doing this much, so we get the seeds, we get the hybrid seeds. These hybrid seeds, when you sow, you get the next progeny. So are you thinking, when you do crossing, when you do cross hybridization among the selected parents, the progeny what we get, right? One, the second progeny, the third progeny, the progeny what we get are called as hybrids. The product of the cross hybridization is called as hybrid only. All these hybrids, are you thinking, will have the desirable characters what we are looking into? No. So we will tell only one out of thousands, few thousands of crosses. If you do few thousands of crosses, out of that the probability is one cross might get the progeny with your desirable combinations, right? So means the success rate is so less. Means if there are thousands of progeny, in that thousands of progeny, hardly one progeny will be the progeny with the qualities what we want. Then we need to eliminate 999 and we have to pick that one in which the desirable characters are there. That is the fourth step. Or the fourth step, selection and testing for recombinants. Selection and testing of superior recombinants. This is a third step, cross hybridization among the selected parents. Come on, tell me what's the fourth step then? The fourth step will be selection. In this progeny, we told there are many hybrid progeny which are there. The combinations are the characters which we don't want. So then we need to select for the hybrids which are having superior recombinant characters. So the fourth step will be selection for superior recombinants. The fourth step will be selection for superior recombinants. Out of all the progeny, we need to select that progeny in which the desirable combinations are there. So it requires too much of effort and it requires scientific evaluation. So careful scientific evaluation is done to select the superior recombinants, and selection is very important to continue the further plant breeding experiments, right? So we will tell it careful scientific evaluation should be done. Scientifically, carefully, we need to evaluate and we need to pick the progeny which are having superior recombinants. So we tell that, so the success rate of plant breeding depends upon this step only. The success of plant breeding depends on this selection only. Now after completing your 10th standard, so when you enter into 11th and 12th standard, you need to select the platform. So from where are you getting trained, so that they give you ample amount of training so that your NEET exam becomes a cakewalk, so that you can easily perform your exam well and get a prestigious score and get into good colleges, right? So selection is very important. In the same manner, for any plant breeding experiment, so the selection process is very important. carefully, scientifically, we need to evaluate and select the parents, right? Now these selected parents are further self-pollinated. So selected parents are self-pollinated. So the selected parents are self-pollinated. Why are you doing self-pollination among the selected parents? Means to maintain the homozygosity, to maintain the uniformity. So we will do continuous self-pollination. Why? To increase homozygosity or to increase uniformity, right? So what do? So we do selection, we select the superior recombinant and we self-pollinate them. So when we do self-pollination, when we get the homozygosity, then the characters will not segregate in the progeny. So since they are homozygous, the characters do not segregate in progeny. When we do homozygosity, when we self-pollinate, whatever we are getting, the characters will not be segregated in the progeny. It will be maintained as it is. So this is the fourth step. Then what is the last step? Last step is testing and release, right? Testing, release and commercialization of hybrids. So the last step is whatever hybrid we got, we need to test it now. First you will test it in the research farm. First we will test it in the research farm, whether it is showing the desired yield or not. Then you will take it to agricultural farm. And in the agricultural farm, we test for 3 seasons. So we will test it under ideal fertilizer application. So ideal water supply. So all other parameters, whatever plant requires to grow, we will provide all those conditions, and we will check its yield in the research farm first, and if it gives the desired yield in the research farm, we want to check it in the agricultural land. We will check it in the agricultural land in different agrochemical zones. In different agrochemical zones. What do you mean by different agrochemical zones? In the hilly areas, in the plain areas, in the soil where red soil is there, black soil is there, loam soil is there, in different soil conditions, in different hills and plains, in agricultural farms for 3 seasons, summer season, winter season, rainy season, we check it, and we even check with the local cultivable variety. So if it proves well than the local cultivable variety, then we commercialize it. And then we give a brand name and then we supply it. So these many steps are there behind conventional plant breeding. Come on, tell me, what are the steps? The first step is collection of variability, and we told genetic variability is the root of any plant breeding experiments. The second step is evaluation for the selected parents. This also we need to do very carefully, and we need to pick 2 superior parents. The third step is cross hybridization among the parents, which is time consuming, which is tedious, but then we carefully do it, okay? And after getting that, we need to select and we need to test for the superior recombinants, because all the progeny will not have the characters what we want. Out of thousands of progeny, hardly one will have the desirable character. That we need to select it. After selecting, we will self-pollinate them, so to increase the homozygosity, to increase the uniformity. After that, when we maintain the uniformity, the characters will not segregate. They will be maintained in the progeny. Then comes the testing part. So we will test it, then we will release it in the research area, in the agricultural area, in different agrochemical zones for 3 particular seasons, and we even compare with the local variety there, and if it turns to be superior in all these terms, then we will release it. Right, children? So we'll continue the next topic in our next class. Thank you.